Tonight is a night of questions and answers, and Swami Brahmananda collected the questions. He will ask them, and I will do my level best to answer. The questions are on different topics of yoga, of Vedanta, of sadhana or spiritual practice, different topics. And I'll do my level best to answer them in a way that it will be useful for everyone. So Swami Brahmananda is going to start.
Om Swamiji, I'm having trouble with complete surrender to my higher power. Growing in the West, it is very difficult to let go. Can you please provide some encouragement and advice on moving towards complete surrender? I want it with all my heart.
Complete surrender to a higher power is called in Sanskrit Atmanivedana or Ishvara Pranidhana. It's total self-surrender to the Supreme Self or to God. But before we can surrender to God, or before we can surrender to the Supreme Self, which is within us and which is also everywhere, we need to have some awareness of the reality of God and of the reality of the Self. In order to gain this awareness, of course, we need to approach a teacher, we need to study, and we also need to apply whatever we study, to put it into practice in order to experience the teaching. So therefore, some of you are coming here for just a few days. So I would suggest, before you leave home, to buy one of the books that were written by Swami Sivananda, or some of the books that were written by Swami Vishnudevananda, and to read them. For example, the complete illustrated book of yoga by Swami Vishnudevananda is a very good book. So is the other book that he wrote, Meditation and Mantras. Or, for example, you can purchase the book written by Swami Sivananda, Bliss Divine. There are many topics there, and it's written in a simple language. For example, in Bliss Divine, there is a chapter about God. The way Swami Sivananda writes brings the subject close to our understanding. So, first of all, we need to develop the awareness to the reality of what we call God, or to the reality of what we call self. It's important to understand what is self, what is God. Swami Sivananda says that God is closer to us than our jugular notch. How can God be closer to us than our jugular notch? How is it possible? Because according to the teachings of Swami Sivananda and the teachings of all the scriptures of India and the teachings of the sages of India, God and the Self are one and the same, are identical. And the Self is nothing but pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss, and it is our own essential nature and the essential nature of everything else. It is all-pervading. And it is something that we all experience. We all experience that we exist. We all experience the reality of our own existence. We all experience the reality of consciousness. We all experience the reality of happiness. And we all experience that this reality of existence, consciousness, and bliss is universal. In other words, I am not the only one who exists. but everything exists. I am not the only one who is conscious. Consciousness is just everywhere. And I'm not the only one who experiences bliss. Everyone experiences bliss, or at least everyone aspires to experience bliss. Usually we will not aspire for something which does not exist. Usually people aspire for something that does exist, something that they have experienced. Otherwise, how can I aspire for something about which I have no idea at all? If bliss did not exist, then why do people, animals, insects, everyone, we can see, we can notice, we can observe, everyone desires to be happy. Nobody desires to suffer. Everyone shuns suffering. Everyone desires happiness. So evidently, everyone has some idea about happiness, and happiness is something desirable. Therefore, everyone, not just human beings, desire to be happy. So the universality of happiness, the universality of existence, the universality of consciousness is well known. So understanding this and receiving the yogic knowledge that the self is of the nature of absolute existence, absolute consciousness, and absolute bliss, and that self is within me. It is who I am, and it is all-pervading, means it is everywhere. Understanding this, and understanding that this self is not different from God, then to that God, which is not different from my own self, I can surrender. And what is the meaning of surrender? The meaning of surrender is that I am not separate. The idea that I am separate from everything else is a false idea. In reality, if we think even a little bit, we can at least understand how everything is interconnected. Nothing is separate. Nothing exists in isolation. Everything is connected to everything else within and upon a ground of pure consciousness. As such, the universal pure consciousness is seen as the reality upon which the universe of names and forms is superimposed. But when we say superimposed, we need to remember superimposed upon what? Superimposed upon that universal consciousness which I am. To that universal consciousness, I can surrender. This is what we call God. God and self are not two different things. And self is within me, therefore it is directly within the field of experience. It's not something which is hidden, as many people say. Where is God? God is within me. Swami Shivananda says, I remind you, it's closer to us than our jugular notch. In what manner? He is my own existence. I exist because God is existence. I am conscious because God is consciousness. I am because God is the self. But that God is not limited just to me. It is all-pervading. It permeates all existence, and all existence is superimposed upon God or the self. To that God, I totally surrender. Surrender means I renounce the idea that I'm separate. This is the meaning of surrendering. I renounce the idea that I am a separate, isolated, disconnected being. Such an idea cannot be accepted. So this is how we should meditate. As we meditate like this, eventually self-surrender is going to come from within. But what is the practical way to to attain self-surrender. First of all, we need to learn how to practice karma yoga, the yoga of selfless service to our fellow beings, in order to purify the heart and to purify the mind. Then we need to learn how to practice bhakti yoga, the yoga of love and devotion. It is this bhakti yoga that teaches us how to attain self-surrender and how to attain a direct experiential awareness to God, and how to attain devotion or supreme love towards God. We need to learn how to meditate. We need to learn the system of Raja Yoga. It is that system that teaches us the path of meditation and of samadhi, which is a preparation to the yoga of wisdom. And eventually, we need to prepare ourselves and to enter within the domain of the yoga of knowledge or the yoga of wisdom, which is called Jnana Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. And also for Jnana Yoga, there is an eligibility. There are certain qualities that need to be developed in order to be able to enter within the domain of the yoga of wisdom. And these are called the four means of liberation: discrimination between the real and the unreal, the permanent and the ephemeral, which is called viveka, dispassion towards what is ephemeral and illusory, which is called vairagya, developing 6 noble qualities, which are called shat sat sampat, 6 noble qualities which are necessary in order to enter the path of wisdom, like sama. Sama means control of the mind, peacefulness of the mind, and dhamma, nanuparati, which relates to the senses, shraddha, which is faith, samadhana, which is the capacity to meditate deeply on one subject. And then, of course, there is the 4th means of liberation, which is mumukshutvam, or a burning desire for spiritual liberation, realizing that in this world, due to ignorance, we are living a life of bondage. Therefore, a burning desire for spiritual liberation is rising within us. When these qualities are evolved within us, the qualities of discrimination and dispassion, of the 6 noble qualities or virtues, and the burning desire for spiritual liberation, when these things are present, then we are ready to enter the path of Jnana Yoga, or the path of wisdom. So yoga is a gradual path which removes many impurities from our heart and from our mind. And when these impurities are removed, we become capable of love and devotion, of self-surrender, of meditation, and ultimately of reception of knowledge and wisdom, and ultimately realization of the self and moksha, or spiritual liberation. So it's a very systematic, gradual, and time-tested path. This path was tested for thousands and thousands of years by many yogis, many sages, many rishis, and it's a very precise path. And even today, there are many great masters that can teach us. We were fortunate to have such a great master like Swami Vishnudevananda, who guided us directly. He himself was a close disciple of the great master Swami Sivananda Saraswati of Rishikesh, and we learned from him. And whatever he taught us, those of us that were patient, slowly understood that the teachings that we received from him, which are the teachings of the ages, were true teachings. The beautiful thing about yoga is that by practicing, by implementing the teaching, eventually we experience the teaching. And when we experience the teaching, our doubts are being removed. We develop faith, and faith is a conduit or an avenue towards devotion and ultimately towards self-surrender. So my advice to the questioner is study yoga. If you cannot stay in the ashram longer, at least buy one of these books that I suggested. Study it well. Keep connection with one of the swamis or the teachers in the ashram. Get some guidance. Put the teachings into practice slowly and gradually at home. Occasionally come back to the ashram and learn more, practice more, and slowly, slowly, slowly you will see that what seemed initially as impossible is definitely possible, and it's definitely attainable. Therefore, do not despair. You are going eventually to attain that self-surrender towards which you aspire. Om Tat Sat.
Om Swamiji. What would you tell a person if they say that meditation and living in an ashram is selfish, because you are apparently not taking direct action to free the world from suffering and adharma?
To free the world from suffering, you need first of all to free yourself from suffering. You cannot give to the world that thing which you do not possess. If you do not know how to free yourself from suffering, how will you teach others how to free themselves from suffering? There are types of suffering which are only symptoms, and there are types of sufferings which go much deeper. And also, all types of suffering ultimately have a root, which we call the root cause of all types of sufferings. And the root cause of all types of sufferings is what we call primordial ignorance, or not knowing who we are, what is our essential nature, and mistaking what we are for what we are not. In the similar manner, we also mistake and we misapprehend the true nature of the world. Swami Vishnudevananda taught us the answer is within. If you want to remove the suffering from the world, the method is not by going outward, but by first of all going inward and find the root of all suffering within yourself, remove it, find who you are, then you will be in a much better position to help others. Swami Sivananda and Swami Vishnudevananda taught, if you don't do so, you will be like a blind person that tries to guide other blind people. You yourself don't see. You yourself have a mistaken vision about reality, and at the same time, you try to help other people to see and to have the right type of vision. This is not possible. Therefore, the yogic method, which has been tested successfully for thousands of years and has been offered nowadays to the whole world, hundreds of millions of people are practicing yoga today. The yogic method states clearly that in order to remove suffering, we need to remove the primordial ignorance about reality and our own true nature, which is within us. And in order to remove that ignorance, which is the cause of all suffering, we need to go within. So, and a good analogy is the analogy of the mirror and the dust on the mirror. A person looks into a mirror and he sees in the mirror that his face is dirty. The person takes a piece of cloth and tries to clean the dirty face which he sees in the mirror. But doesn't matter how much he tries to clean the mirror, the face will stay dirty. If the person wants to clean the face, the person has to clean the face itself and not the reflection in the mirror. Similarly, what we see in the world outside is a reflection of what is there within ourselves. If we want to fix the world, and it sounds counterintuitive, we first of all need to fix ourselves. If we repair ourselves, the world will be repaired, and we will also be able to help other people. Therefore, in conclusion, the only method which is truly successful to remove suffering and to help others is first of all by solving the problem of suffering within our own self. This is the yogic approach. This is the yogic method. It's very practical. It can be applied and it can be successful. And then we can help so many people. And in fact, we see this today. Hundreds of millions of people around the world testify how yoga changed their lives positively, how their lives was transformed through the practice of yoga, how a life of doubt, misery, confusion was transformed into a life of clarity, of love, of compassion, of service, of giving, of helping humanity, of feeling one with the whole humanity, and out of such a feeling, serving others. So in conclusion, one of the best ways to serve others is to practice yoga and to teach others also the philosophy of yoga and the practice of yoga. This is going to help everyone.
Om Swamiji. It was explained to us that suffering arises from attachment to sensual or material pleasures. What about our love for our loved ones, love for parents, partners, friends, and children? Is such love also to be regarded as just another kind of attachment that we must shed? In short, is it the yogi's view that in order not to suffer, we should not love other human beings?
To the contrary, see, love is not attachment, first of all. The idea that love is attached, because, like explanation is very easy. The nature of love is bliss. The nature of attachment is suffering and pain. Everyone knows it. If I am attached to anything, that thing to which I am attached changes and passes away. I also change. I means the phenomenal me, and pass away. See, for example, I'm attached to chocolate. But the point is that with time, my teeth are getting bad, and even my capacity to taste the chocolate diminish. My capacity to smell the chocolate diminish. My capacity to see the chocolate diminish. I get diabetes, and the chocolate can become for me a source of great suffering, decay, and destruction. And it goes on and on and on. So I come to a point where everyone brings me chocolate, and all I can say, thank you very much, but I cannot have chocolate. Now, what happens if I am attached to chocolate? It becomes a source of great suffering. Similarly, the person to which I am attached is going to bring me suffering, because the person changes, I am changing, and that thing to which I am attached must go away, will not last. will perish one way or another. Now, what I am saying is something that everyone knows. Every moment we suffer because of attachments. Tonight, before you go to sleep, make a list. Just write a list of all of your attachments, whatever you can think about. Meditate on it and ask yourself, how many more would I like to have? One attachment is one shackle, two attachments are two shackles. Thousands attachments are thousand shackles. How many more would I like to have? Do I like to be a slave, a prisoner? It's painful. Attachments, by definition, must bring pain, must bring suffering. Everybody knows it. Attachments are like addictions. It's the same. I can be attached to alcohol. I can be attached to certain people. I can be attached to food. I can be attached to money. These are all kinds of addictions. And you know, addictions bring pain and suffering. Love is not so. Love by its very nature is full of bliss, full of joy. It's of the nature of bliss. It's not of the nature of suffering. And I'll tell you something. Love is not of the nature of attachment. Not really. Love is of the nature of freedom. It frees you. So yogis are all for love. Bhakti. Bhakti means supreme love. But definitely not for attachment, because attachment comes from ignorance and it just brings pain. Sooner or later, it will not take long. Guaranteed. More attachments, more pain, more suffering. Less attachment, less pain, less suffering, less bondage. There is no doubt about it. So, this is something quite easy to understand. Does it mean that if I am not attached to a person, I can't love the person? To the contrary. To the contrary. The less attachment, the more love. The more love, the less attachment. Real love. Not selfish love. Real love. Would you like a person to love you selfishly? Who would like such a thing? I'm sure each one of us would like to be loved selflessly. Selfless love, which is real love, is love without attachment. Everyone desires such a love. You would like people to love you for what you are, without any, ulterior motives. No ulterior motives. No selfish love. No love full of attachment. You become a prisoner when someone loves you and that love is full of attachment. You become a prisoner. The other person also becomes a prisoner. Nobody desires such a love, and this is not real love. This is selfish love. So yogis are all in favor of love. In fact, they teach the path of love, bhakti yoga. They teach the path of love of human beings, karma yoga. And some people have difficulty to love. They find love something which is very difficult to achieve. But if you practice karma yoga, love is going to come. If you practice bhakti yoga, love is going to come. If you practice raja yoga, love is going to come. Even once the heart is purified, love will manifest. Once the mind is purified, love will manifest. It's not a matter of belief, it's a matter of direct experience. So, attachments definitely are not desirable. They are causes of pain, great pain, and their cause is ignorance. So this is what I have to say about love, attachments, and the human condition. Okay.
Swamiji, what are signs of progress in our meditation practice, and what are indications that we are practicing correctly?
There are many signs. The mind becomes pure. The mind becomes one-pointed. The object of meditation fills your mind. When we meditate, our object of meditation is our chosen deity or God or the self. So when we meditate, we are going to constantly remember God or the self or the guru. Whatever is our object of meditation, this is what we are going to remember. The second thing is there will be joy, and that joy will permeate the mind, and that joy is going to increase more and more and more and more. More and more joy. More and more remembrance. More and more love. More and more compassion. More and more empathy. More and more abolishing the feeling of separation from others. More and more direct experience of oneness with all existence. More and more serving others. More and more peace. More and more wisdom. More and more feeling that the other is my own self. I can go on and on and on and on. These are the signs. There are so many signs there. And all these signs are manifesting within our own self. They are not just external. They are within the field of direct experience. So if I'm hungry and I eat, I appease the hunger. If I'm spiritually hungry and I meditate, I appease the spiritual hunger. If I'm spiritually blind and I meditate, I become spiritually a person that can see reality as it truly is. If I am despondent and I meditate, despondence will disappear like clouds that move away and the sky becomes again blue. So the pure mind is full of light, full of joy, full of love, full of compassion, full of empathy, full of oneness, full of power or energy to do good. I can go on and on and on.
Swamiji, what is humility? How to cultivate it? Can I be humble and assertive at the same time?
Humility is understanding our own position within this reality. There are two types of humility. Realizing that on my own I cannot achieve anything. On my own I am helpless. This is the first realization. The second realization is I am not on my own. Therefore, I am not helpless. So on my own I am helpless, but I am not on my own. Therefore I am not helpless. The whole infinite reality is my own self. So how can I be helpless? On the other hand, me, on my own, I am nothing. I am helpless. But I am not on my own. Therefore, I am not helpless. This is called humility. How to achieve it? In my view, humility comes through grace. I don't know of any other way or method to attain humility. Because by nature we are selfish, we are egotistic, we are proud, we have a misapprehension of reality. We think that we know everything. We think that we are very powerful. But in reality, we are like a tiny mosquito on a huge elephant. On the other hand, that tiny mosquito, if he meditates, he realizes, I am that huge elephant. So humility, which is the sense of on my own, as a separate being, I'm nothing. But if I remove that separation, I am everything. This is the experience of humility. But it comes only through grace. Grace comes through self-surrender. Self-surrender comes through grace. So it's a mystery. We need to have a guru. We need grace. We always need grace. There is no way out of grace. It is not by the power of what we do that we are saved. But we are saved not because we deserve it, but we are saved because of what we are. We are the self. We are the all-pervading self. We are the infinite self. This is why we are saved. This is the grace. So that's what I have to say about humility. Humility is something very difficult to get, but at the same time, if we get it, we are blessed.
Om Swamiji, how can we see God in people who don't see it in themselves?
In order to see God in others, first of all, we need to see God within our own self. There is no other way. So, first of all, I need to be convinced of the actual reality of God. God does exist. God exists within me. And there is a way to experience this directly. It's not a myth. It's not a blind belief. It's what Swami Shivananda described, closer to you than your jugular notch. What is closer to me than my jugular notch? My own self. My own self is identical with God, but God is all-pervading, and so is the self. So, if I can see God within myself, then I can also see God within others, because self and others are not different. The whole idea is Once I see the self as it is, separation cannot exist anymore. So if I can see God within myself, I can see God within others. If I can behold the self within, I can behold the self everywhere, eventually. So this is the way. The way is see it within yourself and then see it within others. This is at least the yogic way.
Swamiji, how can I know that when I observe my mind, it is not another function of my mind?
Because when you say my mind, what do you mean? When I say a bottle, I mean the bottle. How do I know that it's a bottle? Someone told me. Why someone could tell me something about the bottle? Because the bottle is seen outside. Therefore, another person can tell me this is a bottle. But then when I look within, when I observe the mind, who is going to tell me that this is the mind? There's nobody there to tell me from the outside, oh, this is the mind. Because what I see within, usually it's not shareable. Still, in a mysterious way, we know that what I experience within as thoughts, as sensations, as feelings, as emotions, as names, as forms, and so on, I know that this is mind. And then I say this is my mind. Why is it my mind? Nobody knows. We just decided that this is my mind. But in reality, think carefully, is this your body? Why is this your body? What's the reason? Why do you say that this is your mind? I cannot find even one reason why this is my mind. Nor can I find even one reason why this is my body. All I know is I am aware of it. I think this is my body. Whether this is logical or not, I don't know. It doesn't seem to be logical to think so. When I say this is my mind, it's not logical, but this is how I think. But the point is, I am aware of the mind in the same manner that I am aware of the bottle. So that awareness, is that awareness the mind or is it something else? If the awareness is the mind, with the disappearance of the mind, awareness also should disappear, if it is so. But this is not the case because, as you know, that thing which we call mind can disappear, but the awareness does not disappear. We say thoughts are mind. Well, thoughts can disappear and I am aware of the absence of thoughts. Emotions can disappear and I am aware of the absence of emotions. Feelings can disappear and I am aware of the absence of feelings. Sensations can disappear and I am aware of the absence of sensations. Names and forms can disappear and I am aware of the absence of names and forms. They all can disappear and I am aware of their absence. They appear and I am aware of their appearance. I am there whether they appear or whether they disappear, whether they are there or whether they are not there. I am present. Now, is this only my experience? No. This is every person's experience because every person experiences moments of thoughts and moments where thoughts are absent, moments of emotions, moments when emotions are absent. A thought appears. Now what do you need to do? You need just to wait. It will disappear. If you were the thoughts, you should also disappear, but you did not disappear. You are there present, aware. So are the emotions, so are the sensations, so are the names, so are the forms. So if it was the mind, with the disappearance of the mind, you also must disappear. The awareness also must disappear, but it never disappears. It's always present. Even if you say, I am not present, how do you know that you are not present? Surely you must be aware that you are not present. This is how you know. So whether you say there is awareness or there is no awareness, but how do you know? Awareness must be there. So therefore, there is no way around it. Whether the mind is there or the mind is not there, awareness is there. You are that awareness. Nobody needs to teach you this. You know. I am. I am means I am awareness. This very moment you know this. I am awareness. Awareness is not the mind. The mind is as much a material object as this bottle. The mind perishes, passes away. Awareness doesn't. You are that awareness. Last question.
Swamiji, what is the importance of a person's last thought before dying?
The scriptures are saying that the last thought at the moment of death determines the next reincarnation, determines our next birth. But they also say that if the last thought at the moment of death is a thought about God, if I think about Lord Vishnu or Lord Shiva, or just thought about God or thought about the self, if the last thought is a thought about God or about the self, there is the possibility to attain liberation at the moment of death. This is very valuable. So it doesn't only determine our next reincarnation, but it also determines the possibility of attaining liberation at the moment of death. But this will probably happen if most of your life you remember God, or if most of your life you remember the self. Then at the moment of death, there is the likelihood that you will remember God or you will remember the self. Therefore, the advice of the sages is constantly try to remember God or constantly try to remember the self. This is the advice. This constant remembrance is one of the most important elements within meditation. So when we constantly remember God or constantly remember the self while we are alive, there is a likelihood that we will remember God or the self during the moment of death. And according to the yogis, this opens the possibility of attaining liberation at the moment of death. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishade Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Peace Peace Peace. Om Bolo Sadguru Sivananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Swami Vishnudevananda Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namah Shivaya. Hari Om Tat Sat.